welcome to the Post-Human Podcast.
Go. Right, welcome to the Post-Human Podcast. I'm your host, Pagan Tim. Today we're here with Parker from A Modern Proposal. So, hi, Parker.
Hello, how's everyone doing today?
Pretty good. Let me just pull my notes back up. I did listen to your podcast. You need to get some video on it, man. It was good to listen to it. It was pretty random. I wouldn't normally listen to something about sharks, but it was pretty interesting. And it was for your first podcast. It was hella professional. Like,
oh, thank you.
Mad professional. I was pretty impressed. I was like, shit, man, this guy's better than me.
I used to produce music when I was in high school, just for fun. So I was like, well, wait, these skills will still work. And I absolutely love the ocean. I love sharks.
Yeah.
And I feel like not a lot of people really know the intricacies of shark finning and what it really means for us as humans. So I just like, okay, more people got to know about this, and I think the best way to get really fucked up things across is using like a bit of comedy. So that was kind of cool too.
Well, I mean, it was pretty funny. I mean, again, I was laughing through pretty much most of it. No, I followed you on Spotify anyway, so again, I'll look forward to the second episode.
The second one's gonna be about immigration.
Ooh, it's a nice, tasty subject.
Oh it's super fun. It's fun, cool, and good. It's not. It's really bad. It's really
bad. Well, it depends what the way you look at it, really, isn't it? I mean, it is.
No, it really is.
It is a sort of super fucked up, but there's also a kind of humour that is in it to a weird extent. There's tons of jokes that you can make about it. It's kind of an easy go-to, but on the same hand, if you kind of do joke about it, it kind of gets like you sort of did with the shark thing. If you get the message across in a joking way, 9 times out of 10, it at least gets a better message across and sticks in people's heads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, come on, like, it is a crime that it was $60 at KFC in Vietnam. That is not fair.
It's a pretty what year was that? Was it
that was 2019.
Okay, again, I listened to it this morning. Again, you have to apologize for this morning. This time zone, it's this is my second sort of guest from overseas, and the time zone thing is obviously you've got like this huge space of time between the left and the east and west. So obviously when you said that as well, I was like, oh, that time, and I wrote down the wrong time, so you'll have to excuse me for messaging you what would have been 5 o'clock for you this morning.
Oh no, it's all good. I live in a state where there's legal weed, so I was conked. It's all good.
No, well I did kind of when I looked, I was like, hold on a minute, that's pretty early. I'm going to leave that guy to it. I did sort of realise, but no, I smoke copious amounts myself, so. You know, It's
I feel you.
It's a good. Again, you're from the legal state, aren't you?
I'm recording from Colorado.
Yeah, that's what I mean. When you said, I remembered where you was obviously waiting, looked up the time zone, but it only just dawned on me that it's legal there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole host of problems with it. Because like I used to work in the cannabis industry. One, it's not working in a dispensary is not as cool as most people think. It's like working in like a liquor shop, basically. Like it's just another legal product with more rules. Part of the problem with it is that a lot of corporations have started to take over, and so now people equate legal means good, not necessarily in the same way that like you can go buy a bottle of Skull vodka. It's legal vodka, but you can strip paint with it.
Yeah, you can do you'd be surprised what you can do with high percentage alcohol. Like
you could really Skull vodka.
You could. Well, I think there was a bloke that. In like sort of the Ukraine or Russia that fueled his car on some sort of fucking potato kind of juice kind. I think that's what it was. I might be crossing my wires. I literally read about everything, and then I have a tendency to go on many tangents as well. So it's sometimes I get my wires crossed a little. Sorry, let me just grab my coffee.
Yeah. Oh yeah, feel that. Just grabbing water. Just had a fresh cigarette, so ready to get into it. Before we get started, I actually have a question for you. I like to ask this to a lot of people because I feel like it's a really good way to understand kind of how people's like creative minds work.
Okay.
If you were the dictator of a small island nation, there's no chance you're going to be deposed. You can run it however you fit, whatever you work, and you could ban 3 things you don't like or do like, just for the sake of it. What would those 3 things be?
Your video's frozen, by the way, pal. I'm just gonna. My answer to that would be. There you go. My answer, if I, there's everything. There's no holds barred. You could just. If I had to ban 3 things, I'd actually ban sugar.
Okay.
It's fucking so bad for you. Extremely bad for you, and people kind of don't know how bad it is.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like at our core, we're still hunter-gatherer creatures, and so if you go back to Neolithic times, the only sugar you're going to get is like this 3 berries that are ripe enough for you to eat.
Well, I think
right, and so
I think we still had the canes, because obviously you get sugars from the sugar canes, isn't it? But obviously, if you was doing it probably in its raw form, it'd probably be a lot better than when we process the hell out of it. And I'm not saying just the sugar itself is bad. I'm saying the processes that we put it through to get it where it is bad. And, and it's in everything. It's in tomato sauce, and it's in like everything.
Yeah, which, Italians are rolling in their graves. Like you're not supposed to like I was a chef for 4 years. You don't put sugar in your tomato sauce. You just don't do that. Like, no, you don't need to do that. Like, if you want to cut acidity, you're gonna use a natural sugar from another vegetable, such as carrots. That's a way easier way to cut your acidity from your tomatoes.
Sounds like you've had quite a few jobs. I mean, I've had quite a few, but I've not been a chef. I like cooking, but I've not done that. So it's always interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I just follow the dopamine wherever I go.
I know what you mean. Is that what got you to podcasting?
Kind of in a way. I don't know. It's like there's this one quote by Stan Lee who I just really kind of made an impact on me, which is like if you feel like you have a really good idea, you got to do it. You got to try it. It may not work, and you got to accept that it may not work. But if you believe that you're going to do something that is going to be really good, and people are going to like it, you got to go for it. It's like, I just remember on one of my feeds, the essay that inspired me to do my podcast came up, and I reread it. I'm just like, I reckon I could write like a modern equivalent of that. And then I sat down and tried to write it, and I was like, wait, hold. There's too much going on for me to like be able to do this.
Okay, yeah.
So why don't you run into a podcast? And then and also because who really reads anymore?
I do.
Yeah, no, I do too. But
I read all the time. Yeah, no, I read all the time. I love reading. You mentioned Stan Lee. Again, I'll give my other 2 little. I haven't forgot about it. The other 2 island things, but I love free flowing conversations. Obviously you like comics then. If you mentioned Stan Lee.
I don't like what the Marvel movies have turned into. But I love the original comics. One of my favorite comics is The Killing Joke by Alan.
I know the one you mean. It's the Batman one. I've got It's an amazing.
Yeah, and it's just super
dark. It's pretty dark. It's the dark. One of the probably. I mean, it's not. It gives you a bit to imagine. Is the best way to put it. Yeah. It's not massive. It's hugely dark. Just the context of it, you know. Yeah. But obviously, it doesn't show massive dark scenes, but when it does, and it's like, for example, when she's lying on the floor with the scattered papers everywhere, and you just know that it was a bit of a time, you know, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's just like it's the last scene, the last panel in that comic where the Joker is telling the Batman like the joke about the two insane like
Yeah.
asylum patients, and it was supposed to be like an
Oh,
allegory
yeah,
to
yeah,
like
yeah.
them too. Like they're gonna do this forever.
I
Yeah,
forgot about that.
I'm paraphrasing the joke, but it was like for the listeners that don't know, two insane asylum patients break out, and then they're like running across the roofs, and they get to this part where they have to use a ladder to get across. And so the first one goes across, and then he goes to the other patient, who's like, no, come on, and the guy's on the other side of the roof that hasn't crossed the ladder yet. He says, "Well, no, the second I stand on, you're just going to drop the ladder." So it's like that bit of like they have like Batman is equally
Yeah.
as insane
There
as
is-
Joker. So it's
There is some really dark elements to it that are quite. It's got a weird sort of twisty feel towards the end. You know, and in what you're saying, you know, you sort of see that little dark side come out a bit more, and it's one of my favourite comic books, to be honest. I prefer the comics. I'm totally with you there. I don't like many of the new films.
Yeah, which like I have something for you that I have something to tell you about that, but we'll get into that in a minute. What's your second
The
thing?
point, hold on. Let me just make the point. Have you watched Invincible? See, I was going to make the point later on, but when you mentioned comics now, I was like, oh, I'll just snap it in here now. Yeah, it's on Prime, Invincible. It's again based on the comic series. Highly recommend it. I'm not going to give too many spoilers, but it's got some pretty graphic scenes in it. I'd highly recommend. My second thing. I mean, it'd affect the whole of the climate, but I'd have to get rid of wasps and bees. I'm allergic to them. It'd be pretty selfish, but a lot of stuff it'd suffer. I mean, I'd have to hire some people to sort the pollen out myself, and I'd have to train some sort of ants to repollinate. I think ants probably would anyway. If you made it sweet enough, you probably could.
Huh. Maybe then you wouldn't need some sugar. Just
if you sprayed on the flowers, I'd assume the ants would go to the flower, pick up the pollen, and might do.
Yeah.
Might be worth looking into. Might have solved a world problem there. We might have just solved.
Hey.
We might have just yeah. Well, you can steal it, hands down. But you can claim you stole it, so it's okay. But we could have just blasted the issue off right there. They just need to train the ants. Fuck the bees, man. Fuck them all. Apart from Bumblebee, he's a good fellow. You know what I mean? He's alright.
Well, and see, like, okay, so out here in Colorado, we have very, very small bumblebees. So it's like when I first went over to Europe just to see some friends, and I saw those big fuzzy butt motherfuckers. I was like, oh my, why are you so big?
Yeah, the bumblebees are really big, but they're so friendly. You can stroke them. It's kind of crazy.
Okay.
They're literally little furry balls. I've never stroked one. I've had friends that have done. I wouldn't stroke it because I'm allergic. If it stings me, I'm fucked. I'm not even going to attempt it. But that's the second at least. The third one I would ban. I would. It's kind of tricky because I do feel that technology is a huge burden on society, and it'd be cool to kind of live a bit more primitive. But I wouldn't want to ban all technology because you know.
That's a risky ball.
You might kind of fuck yourself up. If I had to, it's a difficult thing to say what you'd really want to ban, because again, I'm pretty loose. So for me, there's not a lot really. I wouldn't, I bet you some people go, oh man, I'll get rid of guns and knives but if you get rid of knives, how are you gonna fucking hunt and shoot and you need them,
man.
And what if it's like physically? Well, the only problem is it's being used as a different kind of tool nowadays, which is the main problem,
Yeah.
especially over here. Over here, it's a huge problem.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I definitely it's like I have a friend up in Manchester,
Woo!
and like he was telling me
Manchester's
it's
the,
like
the shit.
yeah, it's yeah. He was telling me where it's like
Yeah.
I think I don't know the statistic, but it is like there's more stabbings in
Yep.
like the north of England than there is
Yep.
shootings in Colorado, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, do you know how many guns we have? And he's like, yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, we have more guns than
there's
people in the US.
a lot of news. Most of it always comes out of Manchester. I think this week there was. I can't remember what it was. Fuck it, doesn't matter. I'm not going to promote some fucking. Someone will probably roll up on my house with fucking pumping shotguns and tie them into the back of a van if I speak too much about Manchester. So it's a shady place.
Sure.
That's all I was saying. It's luckily I'm sort of in the Midlands, so it's cool. Yeah.
Okay, so what you're saying?
Yeah, no, but it's a small country, and I don't know who who the listeners will be behind this, and you never know.
Yeah.
It is a strange country because
Yeah.
we're all pretty fucked up, but there's a lot of like organised
Yeah,
ring fighting over here at the minute, and which is kind of strange.
Yeah, this is what I've always because like right now I'm doing I'm doing like a mini episode for this like Love Island
Okay.
UK podcast.
That's bizarre.
Which is
why are you
oh,
involved in that?
boy howdy, yeah. They just like they listened to my episode. Like my first episode was like, "We love your show. Will you please come on and talk about the problems with reality TV?" I'm like,
Yeah.
absolutely, I will. And it's an American couple based in New York that like they just love reality TV, and they do like a translation guide for like British slang into
Okay.
American vernacular, and I'm just like, okay, sure thing. Like I'll go on it, and I was honest with them. I was like, I'm probably gonna rip this show to pieces. I really hope you're okay with that. And they're like, it's right up our alley. I'm like, I don't think you're ready for what I'm talking about.
I hate reality TV shows. I hate them with a passion.
Yeah,
I could go off for hours about them. There's like soap operas over here as well, which is just like really, excuse me. Obviously you have them over there, but it's just you're watching a fake life unfold, and it's just ridiculous circumstances that happen. They seem to happen all the time. People arise from the dead quite regular as well, which is kind of crazy.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like that's why you just gotta watch telenovelas
See-
in Mexico and or Colombia. They are the greatest pieces of cinema,
I've
like
heard
film
they
I've
are.
ever seen, because they are. Yeah, the music is great. It's every kind of genre ever, like all into one show. The acting is trash. So if it's like Sunday afternoon, you're a little stoned, and you're like, what am I gonna watch? Like I don't like. I'm just chilling today. Watch a telenovela. You don't need to understand You don't need to understand. Like I mean, I speak Spanish,
cool.
so it's useful for me, so I can just watch it. But even if you don't speak Spanish, you don't need to, because like you can
like,
just
the live off.
That's all you need.
There's a lot of body language
it's
stuff.
amazing.
I think I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast, and it was mentioned on there how good the Spanish novellas are. I can't remember what it was. I think they was talking about a specific actress saying that she just they filmed ridiculous like all day, every day, and they're just pumping stuff out. And but I heard it was really good. So, I've never. It's probably really difficult for me to watch that here. I probably need like a 50-foot aerial or something, or a or like a VPN. I should get a VPN, but
yeah, I mean, like most of them are cheap. Most of them are pretty cheap, but yeah, like I use the VPN because there's a Spaniard telenovela-esque show, which is El Ministerio del Tiempo, which is the Time Ministry in English. It is amazing. It is a telenovela about time travel where they go back into.
The name sounds cool.
Yeah, it is fascinating because. Yeah, it's just like people from all around history, all like it's like an office comedy, a serious time thriller, a really, really like specific romance, a dark, heart-wrenching story too, because the main character, he's living as a paramedic in like 2015 Madrid, and then his girlfriend dies, and then the time ministry kind of gets him and is like, hey, like, we need you to work for us, otherwise we're gonna have you committed to an insane asylum. And so he's like, oh, I guess I don't have a choice. And so then he uses the time portal to like go back and see her when she's still alive, but then like that causes problems. And then he's also like, I think they did an episode about Pearl Harbor. Very specific one, but that's just the one I'm thinking about the best, that I because like, yeah, God, it's I'm shamelessly plugging it. Go watch that. It's absolutely amazing. I don't love it because I speak Latin American Spanish. Like, I learned Spanish in Colombia, so like that's Spanish I speak. And they speak Spaniard Spanish.
Yeah.
So it has the list with Madrid, Barcelona, you know.
You're gonna have them hunting you down now for that poor. I'm just fucking about.
Oh yeah, so I hope that you're probably in Spain, because
I've got like
to get into fights now.
I think it's like a 2% Mexican audience, which is kind of strange. There's like I think it's 5% Mexican, 5% German, and
the German makes more sense. I think for the Mexican one, I think it's because it's like they like to. So like when I was learning Spanish, I was listening to a lot of Colombian podcasts and Colombian talk shows, because if you're just listening with no body language and no just listening, it really it's a good test to see like where you're at with your language learning skills.
I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah,
it's a tricky skill, like body language. It's like some people are really terrible at it. You know, like. Sorry, carry on.
Oh yeah, I think that's really interesting, because 60% of all human communication is nonverbal body language. Yep, there you go.
And even then, I think it's only 10% or 15% is just what's spoken. There's another thing with, do you know, like about micro expressions and stuff like that?
Yeah, my lady, she's in college or university, for your listeners. Right now, doing communication.
That's perfect.
So it's like she tells me
perfect for you. You
bunch
just want to study alongside her, because you'll just get an unqualified qualification. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah, no, actually, yeah, for like, yeah, she kind of helps run things behind the scenes on my podcast.
That's look at you.
Shout out to her. Yeah, and then she also sends me so many academic papers that I'm supposed to pay hundreds of dollars for. But I'm like, nah, I'm just gonna get that, because because the amount, like, it takes about a week of research to write like 1 hour and 20 long episode.
When I listened to it, I could tell that there was a heavy amount of research. Did you did you do video on it, or did you just do audio? Yeah.
I'm just doing.
I would have guessed. I would have guessed you would have just stuck with audio, because that's a hell of a lot to memorize. And if you didn't want to have notes, I'm a huge fan of just trying to remember, but it's so fucking difficult. I'll put like some brief notes on my phone and on paper, but if I'm trying to do a really serious one, I'm not going to do any video, because.
Yeah, and like that's also what I'm gonna do too, because like one we take breaks because it's really heavy stuff to talk about. Two, we get off on like really weird tangents that are like either implicate us in stuff that we shouldn't be talking about, or they're just like, dude, I need a minute, all right? Like I need a minute. Because it's like, so yeah. And that, like, I also write a script for it, so like I obviously I go off script, of course, like improv a little bit and go off on tangents and whatnot, but like it's like I can't memorize all, like I bring in so much information from so many different places. It's like I have like a 15-page document with like 4,000 to 5,000 words for every episode.
No, sorry, I don't think I've got as far as 5,000 yet. I think the most I wrote was 2,479, and that was like. Yeah, I think it is that. I'm pretty sure I could check it. It's got to be around that number. it's got to be a ballpark. I mean, I've done a couple, so 5,000's pretty crazy. But normally, what I'll do is I'll type it out on my phone. Sorry, I'll type it out on paper first, like just scribble fucking handwriting, and then I'll just pull it together as a script. But it just depends, because sometimes when I'm doing videos, it never works out, and like I said, it's a shit one to just sit here and pull notes, you know. And what is the word count? Let's see if I got it right. Could maybe use another bit. Ooh, I was miles off. 2,132. Yeah, it's 300 off.
Oh, nice.
I've done a few though, so I've probably got the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, hey, it's all good. I mean, before I started doing this podcast, I've just been working on a collection of short stories.
That's pretty cool.
Book.
I
do
a bit of writing. So
yeah,
I'd like to hear about that.
So right now I'm doing a collection of short stories. I spent a lot of time traveling, and so it's like I'm like every country that I've been to, I'm writing a story set in that country, not necessarily based on my own experiences, cool, but just kind of set there. So like, for example, it's like I have a story about an American guy goes down to Costa Rica and he meets this girl, and this girl is like really into him, like way too quickly, like borderline obsessed with him. But it turns out she's upset with him not for love, but for a very, very different reason.
No,
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, no,
this thing does end up coming out. You got to read it.
So that just in itself is like a premise sounds good, you know, because it's
and you're all good, brother. Longest one, the one I'm working on right now, which is currently my longest one, because I realized I had way more to talk about than I realized. It's set in 2035 Colorado in the height of the Second American Civil War.
Should get that out now. That'd probably be, but move the time scale just to maybe a few more years. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. You shouldn't do that.
I don't know. I mean, like, when I finish editing it, I might do just like a special like episode on my show to be like, hey, like I wrote this thing, I just want to read it. It's maybe like a 2 or 3 part episode. Because it ended up being like it ended up being 10,000 words and about 33 pages. But the main premise is that it's in the Second American Civil War, and it's focused around 2 ammo and drug smugglers, because in every kind of global conflict, not even global, just like any kind of civil conflict, there's always going to be opportunists. And if you're more worried about like a car bomb going off in your street, you're more likely to be like, well, I'm not going to go to a normal job. I can make way more money by just running guns and drugs, and then I can get enough money to leave really quickly. And so it's like it's kind of cliche, but it's like their last big score.
No, it sounds really good.
I like their last big move.
Compared, because they're way different stories as well, like totally different. You probably should I mean, it sounds tricky because it sounds like you got a hell of a lot of ideas like me, and the problem is I've got my own thing that I'm trying to write, and I've been doing it for a while, but I had to take a bit of time. It wasn't. I kind of get a little bit obsessed with things, and then I'll forget about them for a bit, and then sort of come back to them, and that's pretty much what it is. But that's more. That's like sort of a loosely based story about my own past, and it's got some my own sort of weird sort of drug experiences in there. But then it's more about like the shadow people, you know, like. But there's some loose bits that I've sort of experienced in there. But it's some of it's total non-fiction on top of it.
Well, and I mean, like, isn't that like
but I couldn't. It's a tricky one to sit there and keep plowing into. So I couldn't imagine what it's like to have 2 separate. I'm guessing you've probably got more than 2. You don't have to go into them all. Like I wouldn't. Don't know. Otherwise, but you could. You give away all your stories, and it's Stephen King will fucking steal one because he's running out of ideas. Yeah.
Oh Christ! You know, it's funny you mentioned him because this is completely off topic. I just find it hilarious. there's two things I think is hilarious, not hilarious, but just very interesting things that he said. One, he would do an 8-ball a blow, black out for 18 hours, and then write a 30,000 page book. I'm like,
It's when I was writing, I'd tend to just get really wasted and just write. But obviously, you'd have to edit the hell out of it after.
Yeah.
And you'd have like it'd start off, you'd have perfect precision words, and the typing would be great. And then after about 1,000 words, you'd get some spelling errors, and then about 500 more later, it is just. Because I was doing it on my phone with little keys, it's just like a Y and then an M and then there's fucking 3 A's, and you just eventually have to give up. You're like, okay, no, this is it for the day now. But a rough story is about 30,000 words. It's yeah.
Yeah, give or take, yeah. And like that's kind of like yeah, and then I'm writing an actual book that I have no clue when this will come out. It's 2 chapters in, and it needs a lot of workshopping. But
love it.
You ever do you watch Rick and Morty? So at the very start of the plague in early 2020, like right around March time, I was just baked off my face watching Rick and Morty, and I watched the episode with where like Morty gets the alien kid from like the sex robot, Gazorp. Yeah. And so so you know how it's like the entire planet of Gazorp is actually controlled by like a spaceship of just all women. So that got me thinking. I'm like, whoa, wait, hold up. What if that was an actual story, but just done in a different manner? So like it's a smuggler's apprentice that crash lands onto an uncharted planet of a highly sophisticated all women like autocracy, right? And so it's like him having to navigate that kind of a society while trying to get off planet with the help of a local girl who's like, yo, the government is fucking up my home and fucking up our planet.
Get rid of the female helper. So we don't need none of them films. We don't have books. We need it just to be him on his own. And it needs to be an action. It needs to be completely all action. And he's getting fucked up, and all these women are chasing him and trying to fucking shoot him down and throwing javelins off rooftops and shit. That female helper approach, I think it'll kind of nothing against having a woman in there, but you could make a woman villain that's crazy, psychotic, and it's a good approach. But he doesn't need a female helper. He just needs to be like Rambo, just needs to be like Rambo, just going wild and having to camouflage himself into buildings and shit. You know, that'd be cool.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny you mentioned him camouflaging that, because it's like. The reason I was thinking about having that female helper is, one, it's gonna like I know who the target audience for that book is. It's gonna be like 16 to 18-year-olds.
I know what you're
I'm just trying to find a way to cash out. You know, like I saw how much money Hunger Games made, and so I'm just like, I mean, and hey, who knows? It may never come out.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. You just signed your own fate with that one. You know. Although I think the fact I didn't really want to mention mine, because I've got to edit mine out. I gave a big clue away. There was a huge plot hole in there that I just gave up. So unfortunately.
Well, I mean, I mean, it sucks. This is an audio.
Yeah, well, I don't make any. I don't do any edits to any of my shows. I don't see the point. People, I tend to find people
fair enough.
love just normal flowing conversations that aren't. It doesn't matter if the audio is a little bit terrible, and it doesn't matter as long as the quality of the conversation's good. I mean, clearly it helps if the audio's shit hot, but I've seen so many people on Facebook just trying to promote their own shit and just saying that. Was basically someone was saying, I'll do your audio and I'll do post-production on it and whatever, and basically he was just trying to plug himself as a business, and there seems to be a lot of that on
because it's like it's like anyone with like Ableton or FL Studio and like a 10-minute YouTube tutorial believes that like I can do this entire podcast and like do it. I'm like no For my show, it
Yep.
takes me 2.5 days to edit it, and it's just 1 hour. And the reason I have to edit mine so heavily is because of what we were talking about earlier. We say things we shouldn't be saying, and two, it's like it's a really heavy topic, and
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
I'm trying to like see like no, these are important issues that we need to talk about. So yeah, like dude, come on, man. Like
Yeah.
hey, I went to the school of YouTube
It's-
too, but do you
it's
see
the
me
case
offering
that,
services and charging hundreds
on
of dollars?
that
No.
little comment section, people were saying we don't need to do it. Like you just said, you could watch a 10-minute video. I've got Ableton. I'm not amazing on it, but I could learn a lot quicker. I used to use it for music production, but I couldn't. Again, another dopamine moment. I've always made bits of music, but I took a bit of time off and then had a son and took some more time off and then discovered podcasting and then was like, fuck you, music. This is easy. This is easy. I've just got to talk. Fuck these dials and knobs for fucking eight hours straight. Like, fuck that, man. It took so long. Like, you tweak and piss about and it'll get you nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And oh god, and there's just like there's so many people trying
It's
to
a
make
saturated
music,
market, man.
and like god, yeah, and I mean,
yeah.
and I mean, I'm sure
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a little bit of the
Yeah.
you know like the pot.
But to be honest, though, you've got probably more of an opportunity with podcasting. You know, if I was to put some music out there that's really my style, it'd take forever to. Most people make music based upon what they listen to, which is ridiculous because then you're trying to almost go up against the best. You're not going to win.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's just like you can't. Yeah, and like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got for like making any kind of like creative work was that you have to listen to everything but the things you like.
Yep.
You have to read everything but the things you like. You have to watch everything but the things you like. So therefore, you can take that kind of you can see how everything is one built, and two, you can also see like, oh wait, this Western is actually just a sci-fi
exactly
film redressed up.
Oh,
yeah. Which also, I just want to talk about Rango for a second.
There's so many adult
how the
jokes.
hell is that
There's
a kids movie?
And tons of adult humor. It's a fantastic film. I love Johnny Depp. All the shit that went on. Here we go. Let's talk some fucking controversy. All that more slandering women to come up. Fucking. It's.
You know, it's actually funny you mentioned that because in a couple of weeks, me and one of my friends she's a women's studies major.
Yep.
We did
pretty serious.
An episode about sexual assault and harassment and like how we bring up Johnny Depp for the exact reason that it's like guys have a really, really hard time getting anyone to either one, take them seriously, or two, have anything happen
it's
out of it.
The thing with it is I personally just think that Hollywood tried to spit Johnny Depp out in a way. Is like there's not one film that is not done that isn't memorable or he's probably the greatest real actor of this generation. He's played more roles. He's never once played himself.
Yeah.
You know, you talk even then I mentioned like Rambo earlier. Well, Stallone, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean like he's a typecast, you know, he's the you know, like he's the dude, he's the like, I can't do the accent.
Good try.
But like you no, he's the macho tough man. He's the tough Brooklyn cop. He's the ex-art soldier. He's the he's that guy. He's like he's gonna kick the door and spray an M4A1 all around the room and then rip out 4 teeth with a grenade.
Pin
like,
as well.
That's who he is.
Pulls the pin and then rips somebody's teeth out and throws the pin and the grenade separately with the teeth attached to it.
It's very exactly. And so what I mentioned earlier was, speaking of Marvel films, as we're getting back into Hollywood, I don't know if you know this, I don't know if your listeners know this, Marvel Studios is
Didn't know
funded
that.
45% by the U.S.
Didn't know.
military.
Huh.
Yep. And
Hmm.
and all major war films since 1990. Actually, no, sorry, since the 85 when Top Gun came out, have been completely funded by the U.S.
That
military.
makes sense.
I paid for
because,
Top
again,
Gun,
I know a
and
lot
I'm pissed about it.
but I know a little bit about Top Gun, obviously, and
And-
the fucking.
yeah.
It's the F-14 Tomcat, isn't it? That's what it is. Yeah. Obviously, and it was the best of the fucking best,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I would actually then imagine, due to the fact as well that Tom Cruise is the Scientology man, that
Yeah, he's just which I mean, okay, L. Ron Hubbard is my favorite.
It's
cult
pretty
leader on
whack.
this planet.
you know,
How
it's
insane his life is, but it's insane. He made teenagers search for gold that he buried in his past lives in the Bahamas for like 10
search for
years.
gold. It's
It's
that
amazing.
that is a legendary man. If you do something like that, like
And this
get
is-
people on a
this
treasure
is-
hunt, that is one of the ultimate things to do. Is this a real treasure hunt? Like,
yeah, a real like he was like Jack Sparrow, but would also just throw people off his ship if he got bored. Like, I'm not saying I would. I'm not saying
Well,
he's right or wrong.
it's,
All I'm gonna say is that I understand.
again,
right?
on Johnny Depp, I'm shocked that he's never really won an award either. You know, and he plays so many different roles. He was Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah,
he was.
He's been a
Well, I think I actually mentioned it on another show. How many fucking things he's done, but it's just so varied compared to like anybody now. It's all shit. You know, if you're doing a Marvel film, it's just green screen, and
yeah.
I think it was Sir Ian McKellen as well. Do you know when they did The Hobbit,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah, like-
complained because he was like, "This isn't acting anymore." I think that's what he said because he spent
Yeah.
his whole time just in a room with a fucking green screen, and
Yeah.
I think he cried or something and said, I think it's a bad quote. I probably should say
Yeah,
cried.
and then you're
But he got extremely upset and it's like, this isn't acting anymore, you know?
yeah. Yeah, which and like that's super fair and like especially with Marvel films and how the US military funds it, they get to read and edit the script. And the reason too, because it's like a lot of people will kind of get on them and be like, well, like, are they really heroes? They're killing like tens of thousands of civilians in every single city. They're
Yeah.
they're leveling the city, which can cripple economies completely, affecting lives of millions of
That's
people.
what I was going to...
And
yeah,
it's
that's
like
what I
in
was
the,
gonna say.
like in the Age of Ultron, it was the one Serbian. Yeah, it's the one Serbian dude who was like, "You killed my family. I didn't have anything to do with this. How is this fair?" And so
Ooh.
this is just my own personal theory. It's not speaking for anybody else. I think the reason that they always frame them as the good guys, even in light of tons of civilians dying and tons of property destruction and the complete takeover
Yeah.
and crashing of the economy, is because that's what the U.S. military does in so many places on the planet. So they're like, oh, well, if we like, we're the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
We're the same. See, we're heroes. Like we always do that.
There's a lot of
always
shit
do what's
going
right.
on
And it's
at the
like,
minute, isn't there? With Russia
you
and
though?
Ukraine, and that's...
yeah. I mean, I just saw that they pull. I mean, like Russia's pulling they're pulling their troops out of Crimea.
Yeah, I
like,
think that obviously, again, you're
don't
you're
know,
pulling
it's
out of
just scary.
Iraq on September 11th, I believe, isn't it? That's what the talk is.
That's.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a yeah. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a very dark joke.
Yeah,
there, but,
it's,
I think it already.
it's pretty shit day to do it, but we'll brush that aside. I didn't realise that they were the Disney was funded by the military.
I mean,
It's not
yeah.
Disney, sorry. The did you say it was Disney or just the movie industry? Oh, Marvel. Okay.
It's just Marvel Studios. They do fund some aspects of Hollywood. It's mainly in war films and anything to do with the U.S. military because, for whatever reason, and the U.S. military has licensed
Okay.
their name in Hollywood for the sole purpose of propaganda and the way that, like, oh, if you want to portray the U.S. military, that's a licensed entity now, and so now you have to ask them permission to portray them in certain lights, and so it's like. and so it's like Lone Survivor. That was fully funded by the U.S. military when it's
Yeah, yeah. I
Afghanistan.
didn't
No
even
one
think
wins
of it in that
Afghanistan.
sense.
If God is real, that's
It
where
make-
he lives.
It makes absolutely perfect sense. The fact that it's because you
Yeah.
can't just slander the US military, because that's what it could potentially be. I could make a film about the US military and say they're all a bunch of wankers and whatever, and
Yeah.
that's not going to fly anywhere. I'd be so. I'd guess that they'd have their name
Oh, God,
behind
yeah. I mean,
everything.
like, it's-
You know,
It's the best.
I didn't even think of it in that way. It's kind of crazy. Not
Yeah.
just going to point out the U.S. military are not a bunch of wankers.
Yeah, well, yeah, and-
yeah.
Yeah. Just in case if the feds are listening, yeah. No, they
Yeah,
only
no,
ever do
we,
the right thing. They've never
We
once
know
committed
this is
a
video,
crime,
by the way. We
never
can't
once.
sarcasm. Really, it's not gonna. You can hear it in the voice, but you can also we can see it. yeah. From the U.S.
Yeah,
military.
I mean, yeah,
I mean, I'm
moving
over
on,
here, but that ain't gonna stop. That ain't gonna stop them motherfuckers.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh no, I mean it's not.
We're
again,
getting
it's not
we're
like
getting
there's
pretty
any
stronger, I
beef
think.
with Britain and the U.S. That's never happened once. Yeah, I think it's
Yeah, oh no. Trust me, I've talked about some other shit. I'm going to speak about it again,
It's
see
all
if it
good.
fucks me up. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about the missing flight got shot down and stuff, isn't there? And I did a podcast the other day, and all the audio,
Oh,
again, I
yeah.
did it this exact same way. And then I got to the end of it, and it was like an hour and 20. And that little segment where we spoke about it was for like 10 seconds, if that. And then at the end of it, there was no audio. And I was like, huh. And I was like, pretty lit up as well. So I was like, damn it, man. It's the fucking Russians. They're on to me. I was like, they're fucking, no. I was like, all that audio gone. An hour and 20 minutes. I was like, I just made a huge fucking bit about it. But I wasn't serious. Like, I was just one of those moments where you just go, was it that? Huh. You know? Was that one Mexican dude that's listening to me? He's the one that did it.
Well, I mean,
the one German. It'll be the German, not the Mexican.
Yeah,
It'll be
just,
him.
Eine Deutsch. Yeah. Speaking of German, I love this word because it's
For that
spoken
one.
kind of differently colloquially within Germany, but for your German listeners,
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
For
I
eine
can
Deutsch,
speak a little bit
um,
because I've got a German.
I speak a
friend
tiny
who
bit,
lives
like a
pretty
very,
close,
very
but
small amount.
It's not heavy, not a mass amount. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, I can't have a conversation like
Yep.
Okay, the word is Backpfeife or Backpfeifengeschicht, which means a face in needing of a fist.
Just want to
Like I'm sure we've all met those kinds of people where you're like, I don't know you, I just
pow.
want to hit you. I don't know why I want to hit you, but just right in the
Just one of
face.
those.
And yeah, it's and I've explained this to so many of my friends, and so now like when we're out drinking,
Yeah, I
because
know.
like we're like we never really went into lockdown because we're the U.S. and it doesn't matter, and I'm fully vaccinated, all my friends are fully vaccinated, so we're like, okay, we can go out again, it's all good. Every so often, we'll we'll see someone that like is like just being annoying at the bar, and then and I'm like, hey, Backpfeife, and they're like, Backpfeife. And then they look at us like, what are you talking about? Like, hey, don't worry about it, man. Just keep
That's
walking.
the.
It's all good.
It's a weird. I
Yeah.
like some. It's cool because some languages obviously they have just certain expressions that can be said in one word. Like the English language doesn't really have a mass amount of them. Our words are pretty straightforward. But then, like you said, there's that German word which says, which has the meaning of just literally wanting to punch somebody in the face, and it's so that whole fucking one amount of all of that information can be portrayed by one word. It makes a lot more sense than most languages because there's at least a bit of intent behind the words rather than you just going, hey, I'm going to punch you in the face. Well, you could say that anyway. Whereas if you said that one word, it kind of has a bit of a different meaning.
Yeah, well, I mean, and it's like there's a great Spanish word if
Okay.
you're ever feeling romantic called it's a verb. It's called
Oh.
acurrucar. And the direct translation just means to like cuddle, like, but like its actual translation, it's kind of tough because it doesn't have a great
Okay.
one, but it's like to hold someone in your arms that you deeply, deeply care about, like someone that
I know what you mean.
someone that it's
Un-
like, you know, like you can feel like
devoted love, undying love,
like,
whatever.
yeah, like, yeah, you know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So like, saying to your listeners, if there's ever a girl that you fancy, I know the slang. Don't get me on that.
What
I've been watching
what was
Love
your
Island
response
UK,
on that?
and,
Because
like,
it's
I
so
suddenly wanna
bizarre
die,
that
but
you
I'm learning the slang.
did you have to
Um,
how many episodes did you watch? Sitting there discussing it as well.
I've watched, so for research purposes, I also watched the so I watched the first episode, of season 6, so I understand like what the show is, because I mean like I
Okay.
come from a family of all women. My mom and dad aren't together, left when I was a baby, and I have 2 older sisters, so I've watched a lot of The Bachelor. Like I get the gist of it, but I'm like, okay, what's what's different about Love Island? And so I watched that, and I watched the first episode, and then I watched episode 16, and then I still need to watch. I need to watch this one today too, as part of my research before I write the script. 24, and then I also watched the first episode of the Australian one. So, because I want to see like the differences, because my bit is that it's like reality TV is
Yep.
the boiled down essence of what the quote unquote idealistic culture is. And so I'm like, all right, like I got to see like what the differences are, because like they're structured in the same way, but they're still different. So I've watched 3 episodes of Love Island, 2 from the UK, 1 from Australia. And I got to watch another one today, and then I got to go super heavily into reading about the writer's strike of 1988,
Okay, that's quite a good one.
like the Roman riots and why they went to the Colosseum and circus. And then I also have to and then I have to also connect that episode 24 to the main point that reality TV show is just a way to show what the idealistic culture in person looks like. And in my opinion, shows a lot of a ton of toxic masculinity, 2, a ton of misogyny, and 3, that it's like such a materialistic and idealistic form of what it means to be in love. Because again, like the opening shot to Love Island UK is one. It's horny as hell. Oh my god! Like, granted, I mean, like, okay, I'm from the U.S., so we don't normally like show like that like level of like
I've not
I'm in
actually
a
watched
voting
it.
booth and I just
It's
rip
crazy.
off all my
I'm not-
clothes because I got a text to go to Love Island.
My time is very, very precious to me.
Don't waste your time.
To the point where I've had, I've known people that have watched Love Island, and I don't really consider them to be. There's a different. Yeah, there's a kind of a weird sort of. I'm gonna just put it out there. They're not all. But there's a certain group of people that watch Love Island and shows like that, and they just tend to sort of stick within the same sort of category of stuff, and it's never really great. I'm not saying they're idiots. I'm not saying they're stupid people. I'm just saying that they have strange tendencies socially that are kind of that look like the norm, but they're not. You know, go on.
Yeah. Well. Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Here's what I'm gonna say is
Absolutely.
that now, if you like Love Island, enjoy it. All right. Like everyone's got their, like they got their thing. Whatever. Here's what I will say though. I started it sober.
You should have started with that.
notes, then about halfway through, I'm like,
Yeah,
okay,
you
I
should have
gotta-
started
gotta
with the
stop.
smoke.
I can't.
It-
And so
it'd
4
probably
dabs
be
later, I'm like,
hilarious.
oh, I get it now.
It'd probably be really good and funny if you
Yeah,
just,
well,
yeah.
That was my first mistake.
Oh, you're a dabber. Ah.
I'm 4 dabs later. I was like, oh,
yeah, shit. Yeah.
okay.
Of course, man. That's...
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm from Colorado, man. Like, I mean, I can just like I can ride my bicycle 5 minutes down the road to my
It's
local
not bad.
dispo, and
Yeah, that's not
I
bad.
can get like 3 grams of hash for like $40. Like,
Yeah.
it's no worries. No, I mean it's not the best stuff. I prefer live resin, but like that's its own deal. The one thing I thought was I just want to say this because I think it was so funny. I was in tears. I don't know who the host is of Love Island today.
I'll Google it
He
for you.
has
Hold on.
the worst
Carry on.
Midland accent I've ever heard in my life. I wanted to hit him in the face. And
Let's
two,
call him out. Carry on.
yeah, I did sort it out. Yeah, and so one of the contestants was a dude from South London, and he was selling coffee beans, right? He was like an import export, which whatever, that's a fine job. I know like people do that. And so like he was talking to like one of the girls, and like they went to like a commercial break, and then they came back, and I think the host was like, oh, this
was a
this
guy.
dude, he's been
So it was
talking
a
to
guy.
Rebecca for quite some time now. Now
Hold
he's
on a
full of
second.
beans.
A guy.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, okay, so like the main, it's like the
It's
host is a
the,
girl, the dude who does like the
Ian
voiceover
Andrew
is just a guy.
Sterling?
Yeah, but yeah, like
yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
Ian Andrew Sterling.
if you-
What the hell does he?
No.
It's me, man.
It's it means you just got
What
loads
does
of
that
energy
mean? Is he
if you're full of
farting a
beans.
lot? Did you
But it's a
pick it up on the
strange
mic?
one because if you're
What
full
the
of
hell?
beans, you'd naturally think that you got the shits or
Okay.
you've physically ate loads of beans. But it's not. It's you've got loads of energy.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that.
Yeah, it's got
that
just a
was
gassy
my
guy.
First thought was like, oh, this man's
Off
just
camera.
farting a ton. Yeah, he's a super gassy guy.
They have to do
Um,
they have to do like a million takes just to let farts go through.
Totally finished on this for me. But-
Do you need when
The
you
only
take
problem I have
37,
with- Oh, yes.
50?
That poor audio engineer is just like,
Yeah.
every so often he's just like talking and he's like, but okay, yeah. Why? Maybe you can notice me. They're on this island off the coast of South Africa. They are all in like swimsuits
Yeah.
and shorts and like like no shirts, but yet they're wearing shoes and socks. And they have their shoes in bed. And I grew up in a house where you take
Yeah.
your shoes off at the front door. Like socks are cool,
I've
but you
got,
do
like,
not wear your outside
flip-flops
shoes in the
indoors.
house. Why the hell are you putting your shoes on the bed?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Like house shoes make perfect sense to me. I get it.
Yeah.
Slippers, flip flops,
Yeah, I
Crocs,
haven't got the
whatever.
Crocs
I
yet.
understand that. But you're wearing your outside shoes in bed. That
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you seen that you can get steel toe
I'm not
cap
gonna tell you
ones?
try them. Just don't wear them in public. That's my deal.
Steel toe cap Crocs.
I actually used to own some because like
Yeah,
when I
yeah,
was
I
working
know,
as a
yeah.
chef, like that was the point of Crocs was for kitchen shoes. Like they were non-slip, they had steel toes, they had no holes in them, like flame retardant, slip retardant, and knife retardant, like rubber shoes. So like if you drop a boiling
Yeah.
pot of like a stock pot with like 10 gallons or 40 liters of water, you don't break your feet. Because I've seen it happen to like apprentices in one of the kitchens I worked in, where like they're picking up this big stock
Yep.
pot that's been on an industrial stove
And
for
it weighs-
2 hours and it's
Wait,
hot as hell.
and it
'cause-
weighs about
why the
5
hell wouldn't it
kilos of
be?
solid water.
and they pick it up
you know
without
what I mean?
rags.
I say I used to do like I've done bits
Yeah,
of bar work and
that's
stuff. So I used
boiling
to
water.
occasionally like have to run food, and it's not very fun. It's not very fun. But luckily I've never poured boiling water over myself. It was.
Yeah, I've done it. I've done it once, but like, I
Yeah.
was like the chef I apprenticed under. He was like, I don't
Boiling
care how
hot
hot it is, you wear
oil on your
pants.
legs.
Like always wear pants in the kitchen because
I've had that.
Like you went down all the different reasons. Yeah, yeah, and yeah. And when I was 16, first year of my
Yeah, that's
apprenticeship,
lucky.
I dropped
that's really
I
lucky.
dropped a pot of boiling water.
I've
and
had like
it
they
hurt,
just
but I
spit
didn't
in
get
oil
burned.
on my leg, and then like I've tipped a pan once, and
Yeah.
that was like, well, I had a stove, and for some reason there was just one pan that had a flat base, but whenever I put it on the rings, it was never flat. It was a weird thing. It didn't matter whatever ring I put it on, it would never stay flat, and it'd always sort of tip just a little tiny bit. So like all the oil would run into one corner. Well, I say a corner, but one side. And like I was just one day it just slipped off, and I was like boiling an egg, and it was just it was frying an egg, sorry, and I put it on there, and it slipped off, and then oil went straight on the cooker, and just went, psss, just spat everywhere, went all over my leg, my foot, and it was one of those moments.
Yeah, and then Oh, and then hey, pro tip for you: whenever you're frying something, if you use just a pinch of salt in the oil, it helps to reduce the amount of spatter, because now that oil has something, the water has something to cling to, instead of just bubbling up from the oil, and the water now clings to the salt and then reduces the spatter a little bit. Obviously, be careful.
This is what I love talking
that's
to
a pro
people
tip
as well,
for anybody
because
trying to
you get
cook
random
something.
facts of knowledge and some bits of trivia, and that's good, man. That's another good piece of information, especially for the amount of people I know that fry all the time. What about if you did it in a deep fat fryer? What about in that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
No, I mean if you was obviously adding salt to.
What? Frying an egg in a fat fryer? Yeah. Yeah, I would not. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't.
For deep frying, stand back. Try to.
Oh yeah, I've seen some videos of that shit.
Don't put anything frozen in like a home deep fryer. They blow up. That's a bad idea. Like it used to be a messed up joke in some of my kitchens where we'd throw cubes of ice into the fryer to make it blow up in front of like whoever we're working, because we're all just assholes to each other because we work insane hours, don't get paid very well, or almost 95% of us have some kind of drug or alcohol problem, and we are all so
in the
overworked
kitchen,
that
you've got to have a good sense of humor.
Yeah,
you've got to have a lot of good banter, and you've almost got to have some sort of you have got to have some thick skin. Chefs are pricks as well. Most chefs are absolute
thick
assholes. I don't even know why. I've known a few chefs who've all been absolute pricks, and I can't get what kind of character. Why would you do a job that you hate so much and just cooking? It's so weird. Like, why would you spend all day just being a miserable prick and cooking food when you could do anything?
Yeah.
What's the perk? There's no perk. I can't get the logical perk to it. What are they doing? They eating at work? Are they fucking swigging the alcohol? What's the score?
Yeah. So this is. I kind of just want to explain this just from someone in the industry. Just kind of like as the last thing before we close out, because we're sitting right about over an hour right now. So this is why I initially wanted to become a chef. Before I was like, no, I wanted something creative. Like I want to use my brain. I want to write. I want to do podcasting. I want to do like something creative. It's gonna sound really dumb, but I watched the movie Chef with Jon Favreau when I was like 15 years old, and I loved that movie. I just loved it, and I always loved cooking. I love like how you make this amazing meal that you really like put your time and your energy and you know part of your soul into, and then it comes out well. And it's like, even if you're like in a bad mood or like you got some problems with somebody at that table, you guys can put the differences aside, have a couple good drinks, eat some amazing food, and be like, you know what, let's just talk this out and let's figure it out. And so that's what made me fall in love with cooking. And then I actually went into the industry and I did my apprenticeship. And then that's when I learned, one, again, I can't speak on Europe or the UK. I can only speak on the US. Yep. But people are pricks. They want the world from you and they don't want to pay you for it. You are working 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90 hours a week. You're not sleeping. You have no free time. You basically live in your kitchen. You have problems with food vendors. You have problems with management. You have problems with owners who don't understand what you're trying to do, because all they see is, oh, I want to make a quick buck. When you don't really make money in restaurants. Like you do, like you go into chef work because you love food and you want to serve someone an amazing meal. And so that's what I think. It's like all these guys, like they go to culinary school, they spend 4 or 5 years at an apprenticeship. They really put their heart and soul into it. And then it just like reaches a certain point where it's, for them, they think that it's too late, that it's like, well, I'm a chef now. I'm a career chef. And that's why they're like, they see the cracks, because it's like, we paint this beautiful picture of what restaurants and chefing is. But then when you're realizing, oh, wait, no, half of my kitchen staff are high currently. The other half are hungover as shit. Most of them don't give a fuck and will walk out on you at any point in time. You don't get paid. They don't get paid. You're working your fingers to the bone to try to get some asshole who orders a well-done steak with ketchup to be like, that's wrong. You can't do that. And so that's why, in my personal
dealing with
opinion, I
people all
think
day,
that like,
especially
they
when you've
just
got
get so fed
orders
up
coming
and
back and
they're
forth.
just
It's
broken
so,
people. Where
and
they're
like
like,
you said, you said
fuck it.
steaks then. So people are so fucking particular with a steak.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. Which I mean, like, hey, fair enough. But in my restaurant, you get it blue, and if you have a problem, there's the door. Also, Also, no kids. No flipping kids. Like in my restaurants, obviously there should be like
$10,000.
My restaurant is not family style, and if you want to bring your child there, it's going to be $10,000 for the kids meal. Yeah, just for like, yeah, because I mean, like, I worked in kitchens for so long that it's just like you have to like stop what you're doing, go get this like frozen chicken fingers and fries or whatever, and then you have to like, you got to deal with this, and then like the biggest thing with me is that I was working in the kitchen one day, and I saw a child come back into our kitchen and stand right underneath the expo place. Like right at like the expo window when I was about to serve a boiling hot soup out to one of the servers through the window, and then they bumped the server, which bumped me and then tipped it down my coat. So like not only did I get like I didn't get burned, like actually burned, but I got fucked up. And this kid got fucked up, and then I got a talking to. Instead of them being like, you need to either you control your child or get out, I got talked to for not watching out for customers. Right, I'm like, I'm in the kitchen, man. What the hell are you talking
to? You know what I mean? It's that situation as well. Yeah. People just don't watch their kids at all.
Yeah.
Like most people are so, I mean, a lot of people do, but there is some terrible parents out there. Terrible parents.
Yeah. Yeah, which is really fun because now I can shamelessly plug myself again. I'm doing thank you first of all.
Okay.
My 5th or 6th episode, you have to wait and see, will be about the problems with adoption and a way that we can deal with it, because I can't speak on the UK, but adoption in the US is horrifyingly.
There's a lot of that over here.
Foster care is disgustingly messed up.
If you need any,
a lot of crimes against children.
Information about over here, just let me know.
Buckle up.
I'm sure I can find some stuff. There's quite a lot of. It sounds strange, but there's quite a lot.
Yeah,
of
definitely.
Sort of biographical books that, like, from survivors and stuff like that. A lot of women write them about sort of growing up in care, in terms of like there used to be like workhouses and stuff in this country. There used to be a lot of. There was, what were they? They were like folding rooms and working with clothes, like laundromats, like giant laundromats. They were run by like Christian nuns.
Yeah, and then they would just use child labor. And then if you go out to New York, there's of course The Jungle by Lewis and Claire, which is about children working in meat processing plants. And like it's so cold in the winter, they're getting their fingers cut off. They don't even realize they're it's like a 6-year-old working like 14-hour days around knives and blood and guts and diseases, and like it's a very disturbing book, but it's a classic, and I suggest that everyone kind of read it so you can just have a better understanding.
Just plug that book again. Just say the book again.
What we've done.
The Jungle book. Okay, there you go. But, just wanted to get it a second just so it was on its own.
Yeah, that's The Jungle by Lewis Sinclair.
Finish up, or do you want to take a break? It's up to you. I need a quick smoke.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna need to be I'm gonna need to be finishing up for today. My lady's at school right now. I gotta go get her. But
fire away.
Yeah, if I can plug some things, I'd love to. If not, it's all good. Yeah. Alrighty. So you can find my podcast on Google, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, wherever you find your pods and wherever you get casted. That's where you can find it. It's called A Modern Proposal by Parker James. You can find all my socials is Parker J Writes on Twitter, a Modern Proposal Pod on Instagram and Twitter. And if you're a youngin, go follow my TikTok at A Modern Proposal as well. I post a little bit of show notes or a little bit of like tidbits that I didn't include in the episode,
Ric Flair was?
and some just horrible history like that.
I'm a
Ric Flair
huge
was stolen as a baby.
Do
But
you know what? We're going to have another conversation. We'll
Yes, he was.
round this up at some. We'll have another one of these.
Yeah. So then, yeah.
Yeah.
We can have that on.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'll bring it up
Okay,
in my
that's cool.
adoption
Well, it's been
episode.
good having you
But
on.
for your own personal research, look up Ric Flair and Georgia Tan.
I'll say there's some.
Yeah.
I'm going to follow your podcast very closely because there's some interesting topics that you've mentioned. Again, I'm going to recommend it to a few people. It's just difficult. Some of my friends don't listen to podcasts. Some of them do. It's a very niche thing for certain people. Yeah, no, but again, I'll recommend it to the people that do. So this has been the Posthuman Podcast. I've been your host, Pagan Tim. Again, come follow me on fucking Reddit. I haven't got TikTok, kids. How old are you anyway? Because you're on TikTok. I see. I'm 30. That's the difference. you can get away with it. Anyway, yeah, follow me on Reddit, Posthuman Podcast. Follow me on Twitter at PaganTimVR. This has been a good show, man, and we'll catch up maybe in 10, 15 episodes on. Yeah, man. Right. Anyway. Yeah. Right. Anyway, I'll let you shoot off, and see you later, folks.